We went on an amazing Father's Day trip with Nate's boys to the desert parks of Arizona and Utah. Come join us as we adventure around. Going on a 4-night camping trip entails a lot. We have to make sure that we're prepped and ready to go. So we have grapes and smoothies for the drive. We also filled up our waters and stopped off at the grocery store to grab a couple extra things and some ice. Then we hit the road. Our cooler was loaded up in the back full of fresh food for our 4 nights away from home. We're going to be having tacos and burgers and salads. Everything is ready to go, including some of the food for the boys. They're just vegan. They do eat a lot of raw food, but they brought some of their own stuff as well. On our way to Arizona, we stopped first through Valley of Fire. We chose this route because the boys had never been here and they wanted to check out the amazingness. We stopped in the park quickly for a stretch and run break. The boys found the highest peak they could just to check out the beauty that was all around them. After our little break, we drove through the rest of the park and on our way to first stop St. George, Utah, on our way through Zion National Park, headed towards Page, Arizona. So on our way to St. George, we finished up the rest of our smoothies and the boys wanted something to eat. So we decided to stop at Gaia's Garden Cafe in St. George, Utah. Here, the boys got some vegan deliciousness. We got some drinks and salads. Then we headed again back on the road to head to Zion National Park. The beauty in Zion is just unreal. So majestic, so beautiful, so breathtaking. Even though we were just driving through, it was definitely worth taking this route as opposed to the other option that we had. We wanted to show the boys how majestic the desert can be. So here it is. What do you think?
Pretty sick. It's amazing.
Isn't it?
Miracle.
It's truly incredible.
I want to look at it, right?
Once we got out of the park, we had about another 2 hours before we got to our final destination for the evening, which is Page, Arizona. The beauty still, even though we weren't in the park, it was still incredible to see all of the beauty. Once we got to our camp spot, we discovered how windy it actually was. So incredibly windy that we had to tie our tent down in multiple ways, so we didn't have any issues later that evening. Sometimes it's not always sunshine and rainbows. The sand was blowing in our faces, it was getting in our clothes, and it was even starting to get in our food. We made burgers, but I put the phone away because I wanted to do this really quickly and eat. So we didn't have any finished burger video, but the sun went down and we decided to just call it an early night because we couldn't play cards, we couldn't really do much, so we just pumped up our air mattresses and called it a night. We woke up the next morning to sand. There was tons of sand in our tent, in our sleeping bag, in everything. Sand everywhere from the wind. It was so funny, but it was a little less windy, still a little windy in the morning when we got up, but we made the morning happen. We had some fruit for breakfast. Mangoes and melons are what we typically bring when we go camping. They last the longest, especially melons. Mangoes do really well. Apples are really great camping food as well. So we fueled up and then we just hung around the campsite because we had a very important date with the canyons. So we're just burning a little bit of time, having fun at our camp spot until we can head over to our special location. We drove out to a very, very sacred, special location. You can book tours to dive into the canyons at pagelakepowellhub.com to find which tour you want to do. We even saw a black widow spider. We chose a smaller tour, so it really depends on your group and what time you go, but this was the one that we chose. And you can, again, go check out pagelakepowellhub.com. If you're ever in the Page, Arizona area, it's definitely one of the highlights going into these deep canyons. We learned so much on this tour and are incredibly grateful to our guides for guiding us and showing us incredible beauty. I just have no words for how amazing this was. Definitely worth it. And we even got to eat some berries, some foraged berries in the desert. They were delicious. The boys had an amazing time. So awesome to spend Father's Day like this. After a few breathtaking hours inside the canyons, it was time for lunch, and we were definitely ready for it. So we headed back to our camp spot and made up some salads. Jacob had some white rice, and he made his own meal, but we had salads for Nate, myself, and Jonah. The salad dressing that we brought for these salads was a peanut version of the spicy ginger almond that you could find in my Dips and Dressings ebook. After lunch, the boys went for a hike by themselves, and Nate and I went into town to grab a few extra things, and we checked out the dam in Page, Arizona. This is incredible. Definitely incredible. Everything here is so beautiful. I just have no words. I love the desert. When we got back, we got to work making everything for the tacos. So we bring the ingredients whole, the avocados, the tomatoes, the corn, the green onions. We bring all of the ingredients except for the taco meat and the sauces. We make those at home first. But the salsa and the guacamole and the lettuce, we all do at camp. We make the guac fresh, we make the salsa fresh, we mix it all fresh and enjoy it. Piling it high, we used some cabbage leaves, which happened to be really great for holding all of the goodness together, along with some romaine leaves to add to the reinforcement of the tacos. The nacho cheese sauce is cashew based, as well as the cashew sour cream that we add to these tacos. The recipes for the tacos, I do have an ebook just with all taco recipes. The link is in the description box below, and you can get 40% off any or all of our ebooks with code RAWFOOD40. So delicious. Dig in and enjoy. So many flavors. With full bellies, it was time to enjoy sunset at Horseshoe Bend. Horseshoe Bend is not part of the Grand Canyon. However, it is very close to the Grand Canyon. It's where the Colorado River has a 270-degree turn on its way to the Grand Canyon. There is a $10 fee to park in the parking lot, and you will need at least an hour to do the entire excursion. It's a 20-minute walk down to the viewpoint, and then you'll probably want to spend at least 20 minutes sitting, maybe meditating, adventuring around, and then you head back. It's another 20 minutes up the hill. It's downhill on the way and it's uphill on the way back, but there are some shady locations along the trail on the way back. So there is no shade at the overlook. Make sure that you wear a hat, that you come with a lot of water, especially if you're coming during the day. In the summertime, it gets very, very hot here. So make sure that you're prepared and enjoy the views. Good morning! After a spectacular time In Page, Arizona, it was time to pack up and head to our next location, which was going to be Bryce Canyon in Utah. So we packed up everything and had some melons for breakfast and some mangoes. We had some mangoes and melons. Again, the best camping food, seriously. It's also really hydrating, especially here in the desert. So we headed off to Bryce Canyon, which is a little over 2.5 hours drive from Page, Arizona. We finished up our grapes that we had as a road snack and enjoyed the drive. So there are a couple of places to camp in Bryce Canyon, and they're first come, first serve. So we crossed our fingers and lucked out finding a spot at the Sunset Campground. We tried the North Campground, but everything was taken. So we were lucky enough to find a beautiful spot right here that we could all three pitch our tents and have a blast. So while Nate and the boys were pitching the tents and getting everything set up, I made lunch. We had some Brazil nut Parmesan cheese. It's just Brazil nut and nooch with some spices. We brought some lettuce and I chopped everything up and made Nate and I some salads. The boys had their own stuff, vegan of course, but here are the salads that I made for Nate and I. And we had a Caesar dressing that we made for these. Absolutely delicious. So wonderful to have fresh salads in the desert when it's really hot. I'm also really loving my Sea to Summit air mattress. It is very, very comfortable, and since I don't move around too much at night, it works really well. And now for the sleeping bags, we used a wet rag and got all of the sand off. After we finished pitching our tents and getting everything set up, we headed out for our evening walk to the rim. The boys were amazed, and I'm always amazed. Bryce Canyon is probably one of my most favorite places that I've ever been thus far in my life. I have so much love for this place, and it's very, very special to our hearts. So we walked down Wall Street and checked out some of the beautiful formations. We were all really tired from the long drive, so we made it a fairly quick evening hike with a very steep climb at the end, but as always, it was worth it. After our evening hike, it was back at camp for campfires and raw vegan burgers. So Nate chopped up all of the kindling to make our wonderful fire. And keep in mind that some campsites do not allow campfires. This one allowed campfires as long as, of course, you put them out, but this was a blessing because we really wanted to have a campfire at least 1 or 2 of the nights that we were camping. Nate and the boys prepped everything for the raw burgers. It was wonderful to have them helping as well. They had some of their own burgers too, and some raw ones as well. This one was delicious. Aren't they always absolutely delicious? You can find our burger recipes in our burger ebook. That can be found at payhip.com/rawfoodromance. The link is in the description box below. And remember, you get 40% off any of our ebooks with code RAWFOOD40, so you can enjoy the deliciousness as well. After dinner, I took a moment to enjoy the beautiful sunset while I went to the designated spigot to wash the dishes. At this campsite, you have to use their designated water areas. You shouldn't be pouring water just randomly on the ground. Came back and enjoyed the fire. We played some cards and called it a night. Good morning! The last full day of our camping trip starts today. This is going to be the longest hike that we do for this camping trip. We started with melons and mangoes again, and we filled our backpacks full to the brim with as much water as we possibly could, and our cold soaks, which is our raw food cold soak, and headed to the Fairyland Trail. This is my favorite trail of all the trails. I love this one. It's almost 8 miles long. So again, make sure that you take enough water. It's absolutely critical because there's not very much shade and there's a lot of hills. I recommend taking poles if you are a little weary of rocky trails, and also make sure you wear some sunscreen or cover up because the sun is very, very, very hot here as well. Take your time and enjoy the beauty. It's almost like another planet. It's absolutely amazing. And the colors, oh, the colors. There's pinks, oranges, beige. There's even purple and green. There's all kinds of pastel colors. It's like a candy land. There's a reason why they call it the Fairyland Loop. I absolutely love it. We stopped quickly along the trail to put water into our cold soaks. Now, these cold soaks are all dried or freeze-dried ingredients, raw vegan. We just add water and allow them to soak for a couple hours. Because we were spending all day, we put the water in and allowed it to soak for a few hours before lunch. We are going to be creating a recipe ebook for our hiking cold soaks in the future, so watch for that. It might not be for a little while, but we are working on it. These cold soaks are delicious. These ones are coconut and tomato curry, and they are each about 900 calories each. So just add water, let it soak while we hike, and they'll be ready for our lunch. Don't forget to hydrate. Jacob reminded us multiple times along the trail to make sure that we were continuing to drink enough water. We found a cool little shady area where we stopped to have a little bit of our lunch. I ate about half of my tomato curry. I could easily eat it all right away, but I wanted to save some for a second lunch a little bit later on down the road. Nate cut up some mangoes. We brought mangoes with us in our bags so that we had plenty of fuel for our wonderful hike. Stopped for second lunch. The boys also brought some grapefruit that they had while we stopped. The smoke came in and covered the area a little bit, giving it quite a beautiful glow, despite it being smoke. But this Fairyland Loop trail is probably my absolute favorite trail because there's not as many people on it. The more popular spots like the Rim Trail to Sunset and Sunrise Point, the Wall Street Trail, Queen's Garden, and Navajo Loop are so beautiful, so beautiful, but they are also packed with people. So the Fairyland Loop is a really great place for taking photos and videos without other people being in your shot necessarily. We only saw a few people on the trail, and it was wonderful to just be out there all by ourselves in nature. After hours of hiking, Jacob really wanted to see the Mossy Cave. So we drove over there, it wasn't very far, and to our surprise, there was water in the desert, and Nate was beyond excited about this. So we walked a little bit along the river, and the boys got their feet in there. Jonah even got a dunk, and it was just surreal to see this beauty in the desert. Jonah's ice bath. Yes. Oh yeah. After spending a little bit of time in the water and enjoying the sounds of the water, we took the hike up to see the Mossy Cave. It's not very far. It's just maybe a couple minutes down the trail, across a river and up a fairly steep hill. Again, if you are a little leery, take some poles. They're going to be great. But here's the waterfall that we found as well. We hiked right up to it and got to see so many beautiful rocks. The colors were absolutely amazing. These pink rocks were my favorite. Personally, my favorite. Once we finished our little hike, we headed back to camp for dinner. And because it's one of the absolute easiest things for us to take camping, we had tacos again. We had leftover sauces, we had extra avocados, we brought extra lettuce and everything to make more tacos. Again, this is the easiest thing that we like to take camping. I know it looks like it's a lot, but it's easy. And since we're spending time at camp just hanging out, listening to music, having a campfire, we like to sit at the camp table and make our guacamole and salsa fresh. So the guac and the salsa are fresh again tonight. We didn't save any from the last night because we ate it all, but we brought our microgreens as well, and there was leftover taco meat, and of course the sauce, the cashew sour cream and the nacho cheese sauce. Again, these recipes are in the mini taco ebook. There's 12 recipes in there to make everything you need to have some awesome tacos. Make the sauce and the taco meat before you go camping, and just do the salsa and the guac when you get to camp. Here are my tacos that I had. So filling, absolutely delicious. We ended the evening with another wonderful campfire, some music, some cards, and a beautiful sunset. Good morning, beautiful Bryce. Nate got up really early and got this incredible footage of the sunrise over the canyon. Absolutely breathtaking, beautiful. So he got up really early and got this footage just for you guys and of course for himself. But I missed it. I was sleeping in. I was really enjoying my sleep after such a long hike. But here we go. This is the beauty of Bryce. Time to go home. We packed up and we enjoyed the rest of the melons that we had left, and of course the rest of the mangoes. We ate a whole bunch of those as we packed up and cleaned up, leave no trace, got everything in the truck, and we're headed home. It was a wonderful weekend. So blessed the boys could come to visit us from Oregon and enjoy such a wonderful weekend together. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, click like, and push that notification button if you want to see more videos. They'll be coming weekly for you for the rest of the year. And you can also find our eBooks at payhip.com/rawfoodromance. The link is right here on the screen or in the description box below. And get 40% off any or all of our ebooks with code RAWFOOD40. Thanks again for joining us. Until the next video, fruit on.